Over the last few weeks, I've been busy, collating huge swathes of data so I can definitively answer a question that no one's been asking. What does good look like in FM26? And can we actually use that to win? Now, I can't make this video without first talking about the wonderful work of FMStag. It's phenomenal work, and if you're still playing those editions, I recommend checking them out. As always, linked below. Around the same time, I was creating pizza charts as a way to visualize performance data. These were heavily inspired by the pizza charts of The Athletic, where the categories stay the same regardless of whether you're looking at a defender or a midfielder or a striker. After all, your forwards are the first line of defence, and your defenders are the starting point of an attack. Taking a holistic view allows you to understand a player's profile and how they contribute in all phases. But why does it matter? Essentially, it informs the methodology. I want to see a broad view of a player's profile rather than zooming in on specific roles. Really, I want to know two things: how often a player does something and how competent they are at it. So let's take a look at the metrics we're going to use, the methodology, and why 2.08 key passes is elite for a midfielder. Defensive actions are blocks, clearances, interceptions, possession won, tackles attempted, tackle win rate, headers attempted, and header win rate. Possession actions are passes attempted, progressive passes, possession lost, and dribbles. And final third actions are key passes, assists, expected assists, shots, goals, and XG. For goalkeeping actions, just goals conceded and XG prevented. There are some notable omissions: no pressing metrics, no crossing metrics. I am limited by what I can include by how many columns I can fit on the screen that remain legible when converting to a spreadsheet. Crosses that create chances will be captured within key passes. Inaccurate crosses will be captured by possession lost, so we have some coverage there. Unfortunately, pressures won't be captured elsewhere, and I would have loved to include them, but decided other defensive metrics were more important. Now, I've already done a video on how to export from FM26, which is linked below, so I won't cover that again here. What you need to know is I've exported the top 5 leagues from previous saves, with some specific criteria. If I've actively managed in a league in that save, that league is excluded. Nothing beyond the first 3 seasons. Only players with over 1,000 minutes played. That gives me a database like this, broken down by season. I then add it all up. So this here, ID 19342183, is Bournemouth striker Evan Nielsen. He featured in a top 5 league in 4 seasons, playing over 11,500 minutes, scoring 55 goals, and doing a whole load of other stuff. From here, I filter down to players who've played over 4,500 minutes across all those saves. That's the equivalent of 50 full games. I then convert all those raw numbers into per 90 metrics, or percentages for things like tackle win rate, and using their best position, I identify whether they are a goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, or striker. That gives me, at time of recording, a database of 1,458 players who've played a combined 16.5 million minutes of football. From here, I've taken the 20th, 40th, 60th, and 80th percentile for each metric, by position group, and turned it into a PDF guide, or multiple guides, one for desktop, one for mobile, and colourblind friendly versions of each. These are linked below, but let's explore the results and how we can apply this. So each metric is shown as a bar chart, with values at each percentile mentioned before. The first number is the 20th percentile. This is bad. Below that would be abysmal. The 40th percentile is starting to get around average. A player here is decent. The 60th percentile is above average. Generally, you should be happy if a player is reaching this benchmark. Finally, the 80th percentile. This is elite, and the top 20% of players for that metric, based on their position group. A little word on league strength. Those boundaries should remain consistent regardless of what level you're playing at. A defender in the 80th percentile for tackle win rate in the Danish 2nd division will be elite for that level. If you're looking for a player to make the step up, expect some aggression. So a player who is elite in a lower division might just be good in the division above. For defenders, tackle win rate and header win rate are going to be key regardless of role. 79% is elite for tackling, 70.7% is elite for heading. Many of the other metrics will depend on your tactical preferences. If you're looking for someone to help break the lines from deep, then progressive passes might be important. If you want someone who keeps it safe and recycles possession, possession lost might be your focus. If you want a set-piece threat, you're looking at goals. So let's apply this. This is the end of my recent Werder Bremen save. I have 3 centre-backs, Phil Newman, Henry Chase and Morato. Newman and Morato are elite tacklers. Newman is just below elite in header win rate along with Chase, whilst Morato is solid here. Newman is progressive, Morato safe, Chase is neither. I'm happy with all 3, but if I was looking for an improvement, it would be an aerial presence. So I want a player above the 80th percentile in header win rate, and at least good at tackling, progressive passes and possession lost, so above the 60th percentile there. A note on possession lost. This is an inverted metric, like goals conceded. The lower the number, the higher the percentile. Now, player search metrics don't allow you to be precise with your boundaries, so I use the boundary below and will then comb through the results. So I'll sort by tackle win rate. I want above 77%, so I'll highlight those. Every player has above 71% header win rate, so that's good. I'm looking for more than 6.2 progressive passes, and again, every player reaches this, and less than 4.9 possessions lost, of which there is no one. So let's look at some compromise. There are 3 players who are not too far away in terms of possession lost: Otavio, Zatterstrom and Markman. Now, Otavio in particular is elite at progressive passing, and it's only reasonable that someone who takes more risk might lose the ball more frequently, but his numbers are only a little below the 60th percentile in that regard. He would be an excellent addition. Back to the boundaries. A midfield is where you're likely to see the widest range of profiles, whether you're keying in on key passes and expected assists from your creative types, shots and goals from your box crashers, or tackles attempted and possession won from your harassers. So what can I learn about my Werder Bremen squad from this? Well, Nikolai Remberg is a defensive phenom, elite tackle win rate, header win rate and possession lost. Vigo Gebel is an elite progressive passer, likewise with Patrice Kovic and key passes and goals. What you prioritise in forwards will definitely come down to your tactical preferences. We all want goals, right? But you might also look at header win rate for your target men, dribbles for your explosive wide men, or passes attempted for your linking forwards. If we head back to Bremen, we can see that all 4 of our strikers are high volume shooters, with relatively average passes attempted. This illustrates that they stay high in possession, focusing on being goal-scoring threats. Finally, goalkeepers, and this is perhaps the most interesting position group, despite so few metrics. Even at the 80th percentile, goalkeepers concede more than expected. If you can find a goalkeeper with a positive XGP, you're onto a winner. Mio Backhouse has a positive XGP, and that's enough to conclude that he's perfect. Now, whilst I've given some examples of things you might want to prioritise, I'm not going to tell you what metrics to look for at what roles. Instead, I advise thinking of players in terms of their function. Ask yourself, what do I expect this player to do when they have the ball? What do I expect this player to do when the team has the ball but they do not? What do I expect this player to do out of possession? Your answers to those questions will guide you to the metrics you want to use, and experimenting with different ideas might lead you to something special. In fact, let's do that here. Let's use the database and create some extreme teams, squads built entirely around a single metric. Just before we move on, if you found this video useful so far, a like or subscribe really helps and is massively appreciated. And if you want to support the channel further, there are details about memberships and Patreons in the description below. Right, teams. Each squad will consist of 18 players, 2 goalkeepers, 3 centre-backs, 3 full-backs, 5 midfielders, 3 wingers and 2 strikers. They'll play either a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 with 0 team instructions whatsoever. The assistant manager will choose the players' best roles. Now, these players are taken from the aggregated data, So I've created these profiles to show their performance. I'm going to be running through things quite quickly, so you might need to pause the video if you want to look in detail. Now this team here is Arsenal, players selected for their exceptional header win rate. Goalkeepers don't challenge for headers, so I've just gone for big boys, Gianluigi Donnarumma and Maduka Okoye. Our centre-backs are Isaac Toure, Harry Souttar and Kevin Danzo. At full-back we have Yuri, Thierry Rendell Carrera and Jose Marsa. Kai Klefish and Marquinhos are our defensive midfielders. Alberto Del Moral, Lucas Bergvall and Scott McTominay the more attacking options. Out wide, Issa Samare, Abdallah Sima and Riccardo Orsolini. Tierno Barry leads the line, along with returning legend Olivier Giroud. They'll be facing off against Dribblepool. I'm not apologising for these team puns, it only gets worse. In goal, Carlos Martin and Augusto Batalla. Adam Aubert, Umar Saleh and John Lukumi at the heart of defence. Kofi Corral, Hamari Traore and Derek Cohn make up our fullback options. Merlin Roll can play in the pivot, as can Adrian Bernabe. Harry Wilson, Lucas Paqueta and Dele Bashiru further forwards. On the wing we have Jamie Gittins, Esteval and Jeremy Doku. Willy Nonto and Mama Balde as the strikers. Football isn't about dribbles or headers though, it's about goals. Introducing Bagchester City, the players with the best goals per 90. Matt Sells and Alvaro Fernandez are our goalkeepers. Moussa Niakate, Remy Bensebaini and Pascal Stroik at centre-back. At full-back, Dodo, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Hugo Alvarez. Fabian and Declan Rice are our defence midfielders. Jude Bellingham, Hakan Arne Haraldson and Florian Wirtz are attacking midfielders. Out wide, Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele. Through the middle, Erling Haaland or Evan Ferguson.
But this is a waste of time, Mustermann. Pace is the only thing that matters.
Well, let's put that to the test with Chell Speed. There is no data backing this up. I've filtered players in the top 5 leagues by pace and built a team of the remaining quickest players. So that's Unai Simon and Marco Carnesecchi in goal, Achraf Hakimi, Nuno Mendes and Tino Livramento at fullback, Joe Gomez, Mickey van der Ven and Fikayo Tomori at centre-back. A midfield that consists of Moises Caicedo, Manu Kone, Pap Guy, Phil Foden and Luka Sucic, and a forward line of Anthony Elanga, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Daniel James, Marcus Thuram and Lois Openda. There is one last team, and for that we need to head back to the spreadsheet. With all these percentiles, I can create an overall rating, simply by taking the average percentile for each metric. The best players remaining will become members of Mustermann Hotspur. In goal we have Miles Villar and David Raya, Ronald Araujo, Nico Schlotterbeck and Coney de Winter at centre-back. Denzel Dumfries, Carlos Augusto and Mark Pubel are our full-backs. João Palhinha and Pedro Ortiz the defensive midfielders, Kobbie Mainoo and Kefren Turam as all-rounders, and Francisco Trincão as the attacking midfielder. On the wings, Bukayo Saka, Marcus Rashford and Gabriel Martinelli, and little to separate Bradley Barcola and Omar Marmoush up top. All teams have been created in the pre-game editor. Loans removed, injuries removed, bans removed. All original players in those teams older than 18 have been released, so there are some youth players around to help fulfill registration needs. And every player has a future transfer arranged to Real Madrid, which stops them getting sold by the AI when we simulate the season. So we've got 5 teams, all in the Champions League, who will face off against each other in the Premier League. But which team is the best? Let's find out. The results are in. Leeds United, Wolves and Nottingham Forest relegated. Sunderland, Bournemouth, Burnley, Brentford, Fulham, Brighton and Crystal Palace round out the bottom half. In 10th was Dribblepool. 74 goals conceded was the worst record in the entire league, and perhaps that shouldn't be a surprise when you're focusing on centre-backs who can dribble rather than defend. City rivals Everton finished 3 points better off, level on points with Arsenal. With just 35 goals conceded, they finished with the best defence in the league, but were the lowest scoring side in the top half. Again, maybe not a surprise, given nothing was done tactically to accentuate their aerial dominance. and when the season ended, we were sacked. Man United finished 7th, 9 points adrift of Chelsea. Their 9 defeats was the 3rd lowest in the division, but too many draws saw them finish outside the top 4. Phil Foden was the key man, setting up 23 and scoring a further 22 himself. He was incredible, but that was not enough to prevent another sacking. Just 2 points ahead was Manchester City. No surprise here, they were the division's top scorers, and even less of a surprise, Haaland won the Golden Boot, with 34 in all competitions. Mbappe added another 23, which might be a little underwhelming. Newcastle were 4th, Aston Villa 3rd, meaning the title was between Mustermann Hotspur and West Ham. What? It came down to the last game of the season. Trincão opened the scoring in the 9th minute. Rashford added a penalty on the stroke of half-time, then got his second from Saka's 15th assist this season. Mustermann Hotspur are the champions, and in the UCL too. I should be delighted, but I feel uncomfortable. I'm always suspicious when things work out right, so I ran it a couple more times. And Mustermann Hotspur were champions yet again. Manchester City pipped them to the post in the 3rd test, where they won the UCL too. Okay, I'm happy now. The rating system was, in many respects, overly simple, but what it did was elevate those who excelled in some areas but otherwise had a well-rounded profile. More importantly, it showed that if you follow the data, you'll get results. See you next time. Thank you for watching, and a massive thank you to all the members and Patreons. Your support means everything. The spreadsheet behind all of this, no pizza, no party, is live in the shared area, and I'll be updating it after every save. Might be worth bookmarking.